Witch's Rage Series 5, number 16. Channeling is not a badge of honor. It's the courage to face reality. Part 1. I keep hearing people tell me with glowing eyes, which I think I've opened my channeling gift. I can hear voices, receive messages, sometimes even sense beings around me. They expect applause. But here's my thought. You're not channeling, you're outsourcing your life. Most so-called channeling is just spiritual cosplay. Lives are a mess. Jobs failing, relationships collapsing, emotions spiraling, yet they cling to voices in their heads as proof of being chosen. It's not channeling. It's avoidance wrapped in mysticism. I once met a young woman who dreamed she was chosen for a mission. When I asked what she'd done about it, she admitted she was still in a dead-end job, drowning in bills. That's not divine guidance. It's her soul screaming because she won't face reality. Here's the hard truth. Channeling is not about hearing more. It's about daring more. Hearing voices is easy. Trauma, desire, and imagination can all speak. What matters is whether you turn any of it into action. If your channeling tells you exactly what you wanted to hear, it's fantasy. If it excuses you from making decisions, it's avoidance. If it never changes how you live, it's roleplay. Real channeling should make you uncomfortable. It demands responsibility. It pushes you toward the choices you're afraid of. That's why authentic messages often sound like, stop complaining, start acting. I tell my students, hearing 100 messages means nothing. Living out one message with courage means everything. So let me rage clearly. Channeling is not a badge of honor, not an excuse for inaction, not a glow to show off. It's a test of responsibility. 16. Channeling is not a badge of honor. It's the courage to face reality. Part 2. Last time I tore apart the fantasy. Most channeling is just escape. So what is real channeling? First, real channeling isn't about how many voices you hear. It's about how much you embody. I've seen people with genuine sensitivity. They didn't brag. They received guidance and then corrected themselves. One student once heard, stop complaining, start acting. She didn't post about it online. She paid her debts, adjusted her work, rebuilt family ties. 3 months later, her energy was stable and fearless. That's channeling. Real channeling demands responsibility. It's not a mystical shortcut to avoid pain. It's an invitation to carry more of it. You don't get to hand your choices to spirits and call it destiny. You stand up, own the choice, and bear the consequences. This is why many feel heavier after awakening their gift. The clearer you see, the fewer excuses you have. You can't pretend ignorance anymore. That's why channeling can feel exhausting. Clarity strips away your illusions. I tell people all the time, one action beats 100 messages. If you hear help others, then go help someone. If you hear love yourself, then stop staying up all night. Stop tolerating abuse. Stop betraying your body. Until you act, it's just noise. Channeling is not about being special. It's about being accountable. Every message tests whether you'll live it, not just admire it. So let me rage again. Real channeling is not a show. It's not spiritual cosplay. It's the courage to say, I know this is right, so I'll do it, even if it costs me. 16. Channeling is not a badge of honor. It's the courage to face reality. Part 3. Here's the part no one likes to hear. Channeling is heavy. It's not glitter, it's gravity. The more you open, the more you are asked to carry. Real channeling is measured by responsibility. Did the message force you to change something tangible? Did it make you more honest? Did it strip away excuses? If not, it wasn't channeling, it was entertainment. I've seen people boast. Spirit told me to wait. The gods gave me a mission. My guides will handle it. And then they do nothing. That's not guidance. It's escapism dressed as mysticism. True channeling never lets you off the hook. It cuts through your comfort, exposes your shadow, and demands growth. It says, yes, you heard it. Now, what will you do? And let's be clear, if a voice tells you to act but you don't, you weren't channeling. You were daydreaming. If you brag about hearing messages but keep living the same chaos, you're not awakened. you're asleep with fancy excuses. I've told my students, the universe doesn't need more people who claim to hear voices. It needs more people who dare to change because of them. That's why true channelers are humble. They don't shine because they're chosen. They tremble because they're responsible. They know every message is a mirror and every choice a test. So let me leave you with this. Channeling isn't a badge. It isn't your spotlight. It isn't proof you're special. It's proof you're willing to live differently. Channeling is the courage to act when it's inconvenient. It's the humility to grow when it hurts. It's the responsibility to embody truth, not just repeat it. And if you can't carry that weight, then stop bragging about being a channel. Because channeling isn't a glow, it's a burden. And only those who live it earn it. Woman Mage Rage quote, "True channeling isn't about what you hear. It's about how much truth you're willing to live." 17. The universe won't choose for you. Stop outsourcing your decisions. Part 1. Lately, people keep approaching me with a pleading look, which I think the universe is sending me signs. Should I follow them? I just don't know what to decide. It sounds humble. It sounds spiritual. But here's the truth. You're not listening to the universe. You're dodging responsibility. I'm waiting for the universe's answer. That's the classic excuse. Every choice is postponed until a sign arrives. Every risk avoided until heaven rubber stamps it. You call it surrender. I call it laziness. One guy once told me, "I like this girl, but I'll wait until I see 3 black cats cross my path before I confess." Are you kidding me? That's not guidance. That's cowardice dressed as mysticism. You don't want to face rejection, so you want cats to decide your love life? Here's the harsh truth. Your life isn't managed by the universe. It's managed by you. The universe isn't your babysitter. It won't hand you permission slips for every choice. Signs can appear, yes. Synchronicities are real, but they're not a substitute for decision-making. If you need endless confirmations before moving, it's not guidance, it's procrastination. You think you're being spiritual. In reality, you're just stalling. Because as long as you say, "I'm waiting for the universe," you never have to risk being wrong. And if it fails, perfect. You can blame destiny instead of yourself. So let me rage. Stop hiding behind signs. Stop outsourcing your courage. The universe doesn't owe you answers. It owes you mirrors, and you owe yourself choices. 17. The universe won't choose for you. Stop outsourcing your decisions. Part 2. Let's clear the fog. Real guidance doesn't come as a yes/no answer card from the sky. The universe isn't a vending machine. You don't insert a question and wait for a neatly packaged response. The universe works more like a mirror. It throws situations back at you until you see your own patterns. That argument with your partner? That fear of rejection? That job you hate but won't leave? These are messages. They reflect where you're stuck, not because the universe wants to punish you, but because it wants you to wake up. So, what about intuition? Real intuition is simple, clear, almost wordless. It doesn't need endless proof. It feels like a quiet yes or no in your gut. Avoidance, on the other hand, is noisy. It needs layers of signs, repeated confirmations, and constant validation from cards, crystals, or friends. If you need the same answer 5 different ways, chances are you're not listening to guidance. You're buying time to avoid a choice. I once spoke with a woman torn about leaving her job. She prayed, pulled cards, begged for signs. I asked, if the card told you to stay, would you really stay? If it told you to quit, would you move tomorrow? She froze. The truth was already inside her. She wanted to leave, but feared the fallout. No sign could change that. This is the essence of real guidance. It doesn't spare you from discomfort. It confronts you with it. The question is not, what is the universe saying? But am I willing to admit what I already know? So rage with me here. Stop pretending you don't know. You often do. What you call waiting for signs is usually waiting for someone or something to remove the weight of responsibility. But the universe isn't here to erase your fear. It's here to make you face it. 17. The universe won't choose for you. Stop outsourcing your decisions. Part 3. here's the truth no one wants to hear. Real guidance doesn't protect you from pain. It drives you straight into it. The universe doesn't exist to hand you a painless path. Sometimes it knows the road will scrape your knees, and still it shoves you forward. Why? Because the fall itself is the lesson. Growth doesn't come from safety. Growth comes from surviving the impact and standing up again. This is why guidance so often feels brutal. You think you're being punished, but you're being forged. Every disappointment, every closed door, every rejection, that is the guidance. It's the universe saying, this way won't work. Try another. Grow up. So let's strip away the fantasy. Guidance is not a privilege, not a divine shortcut that makes you special. It's the opposite. The bigger your lessons, the heavier your trials. If you claim to want the universe's direction, be prepared. It rarely points toward comfort. I once told a student, the universe won't choose for you. It will only test whether you're willing to choose, even when it hurts. That's the essence of guidance. It won't erase your fear. It will amplify it until you stop hiding. So stop praying for signs to save you. Start praying for courage to act without them. Stop waiting for the universe to absolve you of risk. The universe doesn't want your obedience. It wants your maturity. And here's the final rage quote to burn into your memory. Woman mage, the universe doesn't hand you answers. It hands you challenges. Guidance isn't about avoiding pain. It's about becoming strong enough to carry it. 18. Receiving messages doesn't make you special. Stop mistaking ego for the universe. Part 1. I swear, if I hear one more person brag, which I've been receiving messages lately, it feels like the universe is talking directly to me. I must be special. I might actually scream. Let's cut through the glitter. Most of what people call receiving messages isn't spiritual awakening. It's narcissism dressed in cosmic clothing. One young man once told me proudly, last night I got a strong message telling me to act. That means the universe chose me. I asked what the message said. He grinned. To gather my friends and convince them to invest, we'll all get rich. Please. That wasn't the universe. That was his greed in costume, shouting through a megaphone. He didn't receive a sacred download. He received his own desires, inflated until they felt divine. And this is the dirty truth. Most messages people boast about are just self-centered cravings repackaged as holy. They want to feel unique, chosen, superior. Hearing a voice becomes their badge of importance. But real spiritual messages don't cater to your ego. They don't stroke your pride or inflate your self-image. In fact, they usually sting. They confront you with what you don't want to see. They push you to drop the fantasy and face the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. If every message you claim to receive happens to match your desires, congratulations, you're not hearing the universe. You're hearing your own wishful thinking. And here's what really makes me rage. People flaunt, I receive messages like it's a VIP membership card to enlightenment. But tell me this, has your life actually changed? Has it become clearer, steadier, more responsible? Or are you just addicted to feeling special while everything around you falls apart? So here's the truth bomb. Receiving messages doesn't make you advanced. It doesn't make you superior. It doesn't even make you spiritual. What matters is not how many voices you think you hear. What matters is whether those voices demand honesty, responsibility, and change. Until then, stop mistaking your ego's monologue for the universe's voice. 18. Receiving messages doesn't make you special. Stop mistaking ego for the universe. Part 2. Let's get practical. How do you know if a message is real or just your ego humming its favorite tune? Here's the first clue. Real messages rarely make you feel comfortable. They don't flatter you. They don't tell you, you're perfect just as you are. You're destined for greatness. Keep doing nothing and success will fall from the sky. No. Real messages sound more like, face your shadow. Drop your excuses. Do the hard thing. They sting because they drag you out of denial. Second, real messages can be tested. They create visible change. If you hear, love yourself, but still starve your body, tolerate abuse, or burn yourself out, that wasn't guidance, it was a slogan. Real guidance moves you into action, even small steps. Fake messages leave you exactly where you started. Third, real messages make you more awake, not more dependent. False channeling makes people lazy. The spirit told me, so it's not my fault. That's the danger. If every decision is dumped on voices, you never grow. True guidance gives clarity but leaves the choice and the responsibility squarely on you. I once worked with a student who constantly heard, "You are special. You are chosen. You are different." She glowed when she repeated it, but her life? Total chaos. Relationships in ruins, money issues piling up, self-sabotage everywhere. I told her straight, if your messages don't help you face reality, they're illusions. Stop hiding in flattery. Start listening for truth. And that's the bottom line. True messages humble you. False ones inflate you. The test isn't how mystical they sound. It's whether they push you into real growth. So rage with me here. Stop collecting messages like shiny trinkets. Ask yourself, did this message make me more honest? More responsible? Did it demand change? If not, it wasn't the universe. It was your ego singing love songs to itself. 18. Receiving messages doesn't make you special. Stop mistaking ego for the universe. Part 3. Here's the truth. A message by itself means nothing. What matters is what you do with it. Too many people treat receiving messages like spiritual fashion, something to show off. They say, "I'm in touch with higher realms, I get downloads all the time," as if quantity makes them wise. But tell me, has your life become clearer, steadier, more grounded? Or are you still tangled in the same chaos while bragging about cosmic whispers? Real messages are not decorations. They are assignments. And assignments only matter when completed. The universe doesn't care how poetic the words sounded in your meditation. It cares whether you changed how you speak, how you love, how you take responsibility in daily life. If you receive, help others, but never actually help anyone, that's not guidance. It's a script for your ego theater. If you hear, love yourself, but keep betraying your body and boundaries, that's not wisdom. It's empty echo. The real danger of false messages is that they let you avoid accountability. You can always say, "It wasn't me. The spirit told me." That excuse may fool your friends, but it won't fool your soul. Because deep down, you know, you're still the one making choices. True channelers aren't proud of what they hear. They're humbled by what they must carry. They don't brag about being special. They quietly wrestle with the responsibility of embodying what they know. So let me rage one last time. Stop mistaking messages for magic. Stop mistaking voices for growth. The universe doesn't need more people who say they hear. It needs more people who act on what they know. Because in the end, receiving is nothing. Living is everything. Woman Mage Rage quote, "Messages don't make you chosen. Actions do. The universe doesn't measure what you hear, it measures what you become." 19. Your mission isn't an excuse. Stop using spirit to dodge life. Part 1. One of the most common lines I hear in the so-called spiritual world is this, which, "I've been given a divine mission. Spirit came to me in a dream and told me I must fulfill it." The way they say it, you'd think they're the main character in some cosmic fantasy drama. Eyes shining, voice trembling with importance, like the gods themselves just handed them a crown. But when I listen, here's what I really hear. "I don't want to face my life, so I'll hide behind a mission." The pattern is obvious. Their jobs are a mess. Their relationships are chaos. Their responsibilities are scattered on the floor. Yet the moment they say the word mission, suddenly they're glowing with conviction. Why? Because it gives them a costume of importance that covers their ordinary fear. I once met a man who told me, very seriously, "I can't get a job right now because I'm waiting for the mission God has prepared for me. I know I'm not meant for an ordinary life." And what did he do while waiting? He spent his days playing video games, living off his parents, telling himself his sacred purpose was around the corner. That's not a mission. That's laziness with a spiritual filter. Let me be clear. I'm not saying there's no such thing as mission. Souls may indeed carry direction or responsibility into this life. But a real mission never pulls you away from living. It roots you deeper in it. Spirit doesn't excuse you from paying rent. It doesn't tell you to abandon your family. It doesn't ask you to throw away commitments. A true mission doesn't free you from responsibility. It multiplies it. So let's rage here. Mission isn't a mystical shield to hide behind. It's a challenge that forces you back into life. If your so-called mission makes you less responsible, less present, less grounded, then it isn't a mission. It's a fantasy. 19. Your mission isn't an excuse. Stop using spirit to dodge life. Part 2. If fake missions are excuses, then what does a real mission look like? First, a true mission always shows up in your daily choices. It's not just a vision, a dream, or a grand speech. It's how you treat people, how you show up for work, how you handle stress. If your mission only exists in your head but never in your actions, it's not a mission. It's a story. Second, a real mission makes you more responsible, not less. I've met countless people who brag, "I wasn't born for an ordinary life." They say it with pride, while debts pile up, relationships crumble, and their lives fall apart. Sorry, that's not sacred purpose. That's avoidance wrapped in shiny words. Real missions are heavier than ordinary life, not lighter. If you truly carry one, it will demand that you work harder, endure more, and hold yourself accountable in ways others might not. Spirit doesn't give missions as shortcuts. It gives them as pressure tests. Third, a real mission is not a privilege. It's not Spirit saying, "Congratulations, you're my favorite." It's more like Spirit saying, "Here's more weight. Let's see if you can carry it without collapsing." I once had a student who always declared, "I have a mission." But his reality? He kept running from responsibility. Nothing shifted until he stopped waiting for a dream to assign him tasks and actually started taking ownership. He got a job. He began learning to manage his finances. He worked on repairing family bonds. And only then did he finally feel what real mission energy is. It wasn't mystical fireworks. It was the courage to face his life head-on. So let me rage again. Stop calling irresponsibility destiny. A true mission isn't about escaping the ordinary. It's about facing it with extraordinary courage. 19. Your mission isn't an excuse. Stop using spirit to dodge life. Part 3. Let's finish this once and for all. Mission is not a divine trophy. It's not a crown, not a badge, not proof that you're superior. Mission is a burden you agree to carry when your soul enters this world. A true mission is never a hall pass to skip responsibility. It's the opposite. It doubles your accountability. If you say Spirit asked you to help others, then start with honesty in your daily interactions. If you claim the universe told you to spread love, then prove it by not destroying yourself or draining the people around you. Mission is not a slogan. It shows in details: how you speak, how you handle pressure, how you honor commitments. If it doesn't transform the ordinary, it isn't real. And don't romanticize it. Mission isn't Spirit pampering you as the chosen one. Mission is Spirit throwing you into the fire and watching whether you'll rise or retreat. The bigger the mission, the harder the challenges. If your so-called mission makes life easier, safer, or more glamorous, it's probably just your ego dressing up as destiny. I've told students this again and again. Mission doesn't lift you above others. It brings you face to face with yourself. It will test your discipline, your honesty, your courage. And if you can't live with that pressure, then stop saying you have a mission. Because the word mission, without responsibility, is just self-indulgence. So here's the rage truth. A real mission will demand your sweat, your choices, your courage. It won't let you run. It won't let you hide. It won't let you keep pretending you were sent here for glory while dodging the grind of life. Woman Mage Rage quote, "Mission is not glory, it's responsibility. Spirit doesn't crown you, it challenges you. If you can't live it, stop claiming it."
20.
High dimension? No. The real path is grounding.
Part 1.
Here we are, the final chapter. And of course, it ends with one of the biggest illusions of all, the obsession with higher dimensions. I keep hearing people say with dreamy eyes, I don't belong to this world. My soul is from the higher realms. Earth is just a temporary stop. They say it with such superiority, as if being human were beneath them, as if claiming star origins makes them holier than everyone else. But let's be brutally honest. Most of this higher dimension talk is just an excuse to avoid living here. I've seen too many people parade around as high-dimensional souls while their earthly lives collapse. They claim, I'm powerful in the higher realms. Yet in reality, they can't pay their bills, can't manage their emotions, can't sustain relationships. They say, I'm living my mission, but what they're actually doing is hiding in online groups, trading lofty phrases instead of taking real action. One woman once told me, I know I'm special. I'm a starseed. I don't belong here. She spent hours meditating, claiming to be in dialogue with higher beings. But her real life? Debt unpaid, jobs abandoned, relationships in ruins. I told her plainly, higher dimensions aren't an escape route. Real higher energy shows in how you live on Earth, not how much you float away from it. Here's the raw truth. Higher states of consciousness don't exempt you from human challenges. They sharpen them. Real higher awareness doesn't numb you. It makes you more sensitive, more awake, more responsible. You see contradictions more clearly. You feel pain more deeply. You carry awareness more heavily. And the point isn't to run from it. The point is to endure and transform it. So let me rage. Stop romanticizing the heavens while neglecting the ground under your feet. If your higher self can't help you live better here, then it's just a daydream. The real test of spirituality isn't how high you can float. It's how deeply you can root.
20,
High dimension? No. The real path is grounding.
Part 2.
Let's tear off the mask. Higher dimension is not a sanctuary. It's not a cosmic vacation home where you float above pain. Real higher consciousness is a state of energy, and it demands more from you, not less. When you truly carry higher awareness, you don't escape reality. You see it with brutal clarity. You feel contradictions sharper, wounds deeper, absurdities louder. And you can't just look away. That awareness presses on you until you either collapse or grow. And here's the kicker. Higher states always circle back to action. You say you've learned love in the higher realms? Then show me how you love people here. You say you've touched universal compassion? Then prove it when facing betrayal, rejection, or fear. If your so-called higher wisdom disappears the moment life gets messy, then it was never wisdom, it was fantasy. I once met someone who claimed to feel divine compassion every time they meditated. Beautiful words. But in daily life, they avoided responsibility, ghosted commitments, and hurt others with their inconsistency. That's not higher frequency, it's hypocrisy. The measure of higher awareness is not how much light you see in your visions, but how much light you embody when life tests you. If your high dimension doesn't survive an argument, a deadline, or a heartbreak, it isn't real. So let me rage here. Stop using higher realms as a badge of superiority. They aren't here to crown you. They're here to challenge you. The real proof of higher consciousness is whether you can live with integrity when it's hardest. Because in the end, the question isn't, what did you see in meditation? The question is, who are you when you get back up from the mat? 20. High dimension? No. The real path is grounding. Part 3. Here's the final truth. The end of every path is not ascension. It's incarnation. You can chase visions, collect mystical experiences, declare yourself a traveler of higher planes. But if none of it makes you braver, kinder, or more responsible here, then it's useless. Spirit doesn't measure how high you fly in meditation. It measures how deeply you live when you open your eyes. A real higher soul doesn't avoid pain. It walks straight into it with clarity. It doesn't escape human mess. It brings light into it. That's why the end of every authentic awakening isn't floating away. It's coming back down with more honesty, more love, more grit. The universe doesn't need more people bragging about their cosmic origin. It needs more people who dare to live their soul fully on Earth. So stop dreaming of high realms as your exit strategy. Start facing this world as your training ground. Every heartbreak, every bill, every confrontation, it's all part of the curriculum. I've told students this countless times. If you say you're a higher soul, prove it. Not in your visions, but in your choices. Not in your dreams, but in your discipline. Not in how high you can float, but in how deeply you can root. Because in the end, higher dimension always leads back here. To this body, to this life, to this moment. Woman Mage Final Rage quote: "The highest spirituality is not escape, it's embodiment. The true ascension is daring to live your soul, fully grounded, fully human." Witch's Rage series' final closing truth is crueler than illusion, but far more free. 20 chapters, 20 illusions shattered. From tearing apart superstition and fear, to exposing false healing, fake channeling, empty missions, all the way to the final punch, grounding your soul here, not escaping into fantasy. People ask me, "Witch, why are you always so harsh?" Because the world is already drowning in sugar-coated lies. If I don't shout, you'll keep numbing yourself. If I don't strip away illusions, you'll keep calling avoidance spirituality. I didn't come here to comfort you. I came to rip away your excuses. Because real spirituality is not ascension, it's incarnation. It's not about feeling special, it's about being honest. It's not about escaping, it's about responsibility. Spirituality is not a refuge, it's a battleground. Real practice is an illusion, it's choice. True power isn't in how many voices you hear, but in how much truth you live. So when you walk away from these 20 rages, remember this. The highest spirituality is not escape, it's embodiment. The true awakening is daring to live your soul fully, here on earth. Final Rage quote Witch's Rage: "Stop hiding. Stop polishing your halo. The light of your soul only counts when it burns in the real world."